Hi, and welcome to the 10th episode of my Dream Block series. I'm Nora from Nora Healings, and today I want to share something that I want to get off my chest that leads into the idea of spiritual detox to purify the connection to yourself with the goal to gain confidence and to not be that easily influenced and manipulated. And I still wanted to include it in the Dream Block series because in the end, I'm going to share a crazy dream with you that I wanted to share a little bit earlier, but I think it's a good one to share here just to balance out the content a little bit. So what I'm about to share will be a little bit triggering to some. I think it's a bit of a touchy subject. And if it comes across in a way that is a little bit too rough or not sensitive enough, I apologize in advance. It's something that I'm a little bit emotional about, and I don't want to offend anyone. So please only take what resonates. As always, I'm just sharing my view, my opinion, and my experience. So, from my point of view, the way we create and perceive our own reality is based on our thoughts and beliefs. And I observed within myself and also others how seeking spiritual expansion by just blindly following a certain stream or narrative can eventually lead to losing connection to yourself if you get too caught up in a certain program. Programming doesn't only take place in education and, mainstream media or society dynamics. There is a lot of programming going on, especially in the spiritual communities, designed for highly receptive and empathic individuals that seek inspiration, and sometimes designed to cause confusion and disempowerment. We're being bombarded by concepts about, ascension, dimensions, or densities, practices. We're being told what to do and what not to do, what is good and what isn't, what to believe and what not to believe, and how to interpret and work with energies and so on. If we choose to go on a spiritual journey, we tend to start by listening and consuming content from people that seem somehow more spiritually evolved or connected than ourselves. But what really makes you think that they are more evolved or connected and that they have the only truth? It might be true in their reality and experience, but I just wonder how so many people like to automatically take on a shared view from someone as their own. It's almost like pulling off someone's shirt and putting it on and pretending that it's yours and it's the only real shirt. You know, not to be bitter on anyone offering spiritual teachings that have the best intentions, of course. But I see how people can lose themselves, lose their minds, going down a road of stimulation and distraction and just consumption. And it can turn into an addiction to consume presented information that is highly fascinating. But here are some questions that help me to practice discernment. Are you consuming it or is it consuming you? Does the presented information really resonate with you or does it just impress you? Does it make you feel empowered? Does it inspire you to move forward feeling free and confident? Or does it frighten you and make you feel weak and powerless unless you follow the instruction of the one presenting you that information? Like some people that I see that go like, oh yeah, you are highly cursed or whatever, but don't worry, it's going to be fine. All you need to do is buy these products, right? Does it make you dismiss what your own intuition is trying to tell you? I think it's not always helpful to take on something that works for someone if it's not really organic or native to you. Some are organically connected to, let's say, Mary Magdalene, and can get a lot out of the connection with that energy or being. But don't automatically assume that you will get the exact same insight or experience out of connecting with the same energy. What is your expectation from the presence of that energy? Are you tapping in and connecting with your assumptions and expectations of how it's supposed to feel or look like? Or do you really allow the energy to show up or come in an organic way? From what I've experienced so far, it seems that there is an inorganic or artificial version of every organic energy. There's an authentic, universal, and real version of love, and there's an artificial version that isn't less real, but it's a manifestation of the collective belief or program on how this energy is supposed to be experienced or expressed. And I see the same with famous, masters or deities. The inorganic version would not even exist if it wouldn't receive that much attention and be worshipped. It depends on that. It was created by the collective idea, interpretation, and expectation that puts the energy in a certain box. And that's the base and reason of existence of the inorganic versions of the original energies. The template or blueprint was created by us. The organic version does not depend on our attention and doesn't need or expect from us to worship them because they do their thing regardless. They don't show up making anyone feel less than. The organic version will probably not give you what you asked for or what you expected, but instead what you truly need and maybe didn't know, but it will be more helpful in the long term. To strengthen the confidence in yourself and your own connection to spirit, just once in a while, try to forget about all the labels. Forget about what you think you know, and you will not lose the connection to spirit or to your intuition or to your guides or the memory of all the knowledge that you have accumulated. It's more of a purification. Just truly connect to yourself and just observe and feel into what shows up and try to describe it without interpreting or labeling it. We tend to look for orientation in a very intellectual way sometimes, seeking information that already exists and is known and widely accepted. And I think that makes sense. But by getting too caught up in labeling or categorizing it, we put it in a box that is very limiting. And just the concept or the idea of, this is what spirituality looks like, or this is what I have to achieve, or what I need to experience, or what I need to have so that I can feel spiritually evolved, can not only be very disempowering and toxic and annoying for the people you interact with. I see how it leads so many on a path that is strictly ego-orientated. And what I say next is meant in a loving and humorous way. But please, stop just eating other people's shit and then serving it to other people and asking them to eat it. It's not really nice or helpful to do. It's pretty much what the mainstream media does and the people who follow it. And in my eyes, it's a way how mind viruses can be spread. What I connect to and work with is something that feels organic to me, that feels like home to me, that I can handle and that works for me. But I wouldn't suggest others to do it the exact same way because it might not be helpful for them. You can connect and receive information in ways others can't even dream of. And it's natural, and I believe it's also important to look for inspiration by listening to or reading about other people's experiences. And it's normal to sometimes get lost in a narrative. I think it's an important step of the individual journey and absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. As long as you can find a way back to yourself and only take with you what really resonates and what is helpful. Instead of just wearing these elements on the surface that you picked up along the journey as if it was some type of jewelry. But it's just my opinion. I suggest to experiment with it because I think it's very safe to do so. Because there's nothing to lose when you allow to free yourself from all the concepts and labels once in a while. You will not lose what really belongs to you, and to let go of what isn't a loss. It will just create freedom and space for new ways of expansions and for allowing in new energies that organically resonate within you. And please embrace your uniqueness. All right. Thank you so much for listening. And now let's completely change the topic because I want to share this dream with you. And I had this dream more or less a year ago. I think it was in spring last year. And in this dream, a group of people and me were in this hotel. And it looked like it was straight out of a Tim Burton movie. And it was somewhere here in Switzerland. The colors and the carpets and the curtains and how the patterns were like painted or carved into the wood looked very trippy. Everything was strongly contrasted. The style was old and heavy, but very well kept. Everything was polished and clean. And there was a lot of heavy green contrasted with strong reds and some pink and white. And the walls and furniture were made of dark wood, and there were some renovated areas where the wood was a little bit lighter. And the way it was lit was also just a little bit eerie. It was about an agreement between a woman and me to switch bodies or to switch consciousness in whatever way you want to look at it for 24 hours. I don't remember the exact reasons, but I think it was some kind of experimental therapy that was supposed to help with mental health. Something I would never do in my right mind. And while I was just thinking about this, I walked down a staircase that led to a dead end. And when I reached the bottom, some white balloon-like thing emerged from the ground. And I had to kind of fight my way around it to get back up. And as I looked down on it, it looked like a giant white inflatable clown. Yeah. And I remember that both of us, the woman and I, agreed to the conditions and we signed a contract. What a genius idea, right? And there were some spirits around that I could hear but not see. And they told me that it's very important to switch back after 24 hours to the minute, otherwise it will be permanent. And I don't remember how the process of switching took place exactly, but it worked. And I found myself in a body of a 50-something-year-old woman with a totally different style and way of being than me. She had this short hair that was painted dark red, and she wore a baseball cap, and her body felt really dense and kind of heavy and a bit tired. And I looked into a mirror in a bathroom and I could feel a reaction in this body. She didn't like the way she looked. And I think she didn't have a lot of self-love. And then I walked downstairs and outside and I saw her in my body sitting at a table with some people. They were on the terrace. And she was feeling really good. She was celebrating and drinking some white wine, something I would never drink. And I went over to her and just warned her that this body cannot handle alcohol and that I just suggest to, take it easy with this substance. And she laughed at me a little bit drunk and told me that this body is hers for now and that she's going to enjoy it. And I was like, okay. And I walked around the hotel, just getting a feeling for that body. And I don't remember all the things I did, but after 22 hours, I started to look for her, but I couldn't find her anywhere. And then I tried to call her on the phone, but she didn't answer. And the spirits told me that she is hiding. She doesn't want to switch back. And I became nervous. And after a while, I started to panic and just tried to reach her over and over again. Excuse me. But with no success. And then we were already 23 and a half hours in when I received a text message from her letting me know that she will not switch back. And again, I bombarded her with phone calls until she finally picked up. And we were on the phone for a while. I tried to convince her to please stick to the contract and that even if she has a new body, she cannot run away from herself. And it's kind of funny that I was telling her that in her own body. And I almost had her, but it was already too late. 26 hours had passed and I accepted my fate. And I was walking in a hallway that was all red. And suddenly, as I looked at my hand, it looked like my own hand. And then also the arm started to shift into my original Nora arm. The skin and the shape and the veins and the dots, and I recognized them. Also, I started to feel lighter again, and I kept filling up with this golden light, and I was like glowing from the inside. And in this moment, I realized that our physical appearance is based on our energetic template. And this template or blueprint is what shapes our physicality. And then I started to relax because I knew that eventually I would turn into myself again anyway. And then I woke up, and you can imagine that I woke up like, okay, I'm me. Okay, it's good. So that was a crazy dream. Yeah. And that was it for today's episode. It was a bit intense. I hope it wasn't too bad. Thank you so much for listening, and please let me know what you think about, spiritual detoxing or purification. And if you're looking for assistance on your spiritual or your self-healing journey, then please check out my website, norahealings.com. The link is in the description. I do intuitive counseling, energy healings, activations, clearings, and more. And with that, I hope to see you in my next episode. Until then, stay well and sweet dreams.